These are the first of my roses that have come out. And this one's Rosa rugosa. I think it's always the first one that comes out. And it's a really nice one. You get a white form of this as well. But this is the pink form, as you can see. A fairly dark pink form as well. The failing of this rose is that it drops them pretty quick. But the good thing is it produces lots of them. So it continually produces new buds. Now it's looking a bit yellowy at the top at the minute. And I'm putting that down to the fact that the weather keeps turning cool, and then it's hot and then cold again. And that can have a big effect on this particular rose. And it's no exception today. But it still looks good nevertheless. And I like it. It's a really spiky one, so if you're going to get this rose, you need to be aware of this fact that it is clothed in thorns up the main stems. But it makes a good hedge. There are some varietal forms of this as well. I'm trying to think of the one that I used to have. Is it called Rosary Delay? Something like that. They're quite a nice one. And there's one associated with someone in Lincoln or Lincoln Cathedral. And I can't remember its name. I'll try and put it up on the screen, which is a really nice form. That makes a lovely shrub. But it also, as I said, makes lovely, lovely hedging. And the scent is amazing. Anyway, right. Now we are in May, so we've got lots of the cow parsley coming out. And I like to leave it. This is a bit of a back end to the garden, what I don't always show. I show it from time to time, but rarely. But I leave the cow parsley because I like it. I like it a lot. Look at it, it's beautiful. And I have it all over. And I let it flower because I want it to seed around. It actually started down here originally when this was a little bit rougher in this area. And there's just one piece at the moment. I try and avoid it when I'm mowing. Last year there were some huge ones, but this year just that little one there. But I put the bird bath there for the pigeons and other birds. I think other birds use it, but the pigeons definitely use it because I can see where they've been. While we're here, we might as well talk about this back area. It's really a wildlife area, left for the wildlife. So I've done the usual, leave one of the forks alone, because I'm like that. But we've got a viburnum here, Viburnum ritidifilum, one of my favourites, and that will get quite tall. It's flowering. In fact, it's flowered already, and it ends up with that, and it's quite nice. The leaf's beautiful. I've got a lot of these around the garden because I like it that much. But you've got to be careful how many of those you do put in because it becomes a big shrub. But you know what I'm like. Plant anything, me. So I've kept it more wildlifey. We've got another courted area here, which is still settling in. Not settled in yet. But it's going to be okay there. It's going to be really nice. And then we've dumped a few, well, they're just leucanthemums that I've moved there, just for effect really. Now we'll try and avoid Kathy because she's up there putting out the washing. It's quite early on a Sunday morning, it's really cold, but she's putting the washing out, so we'll try not to disturb her. Well, hopefully she won't disturb me. This I'm really calling the miscanthus border, because there's more miscanthus than any other type of plant. But there's lots of plants in here now. Lots of different ones. If you're looking for a fairly early miscanthus, this one's called Roland. Quite a tall variety. Really nice, strong as well, as you can see. The erysimum's doing well now. As you know, I took the flowers off of it, and now I'm letting these ones form, because I don't want to exhaust it. 'Cause if you're not careful, if you keep taking them off, you will exhaust it. So if you do it early on, it should be okay. And you can see now it's forming a good shape. That's why I did it, because I want to encourage its bushy growth. It's doing well. There's loads of different varieties in here. One thing that I do like, or one plant that I do like, is this one here. This is Deschampsia. And it's one called Cabana Buta. If you're looking for a strong, upright Deschampsia, then that fits the bill perfectly. The seed heads go up to about 5 foot, believe it or not, before it finishes. It's a good one. Very good one. Quite like the look of this area here. It's a bit weird, a bit wacky. But as you know, that's what I like. The Buddleja, which is, let's point it out to those who don't know what a Buddleja looks like. That's a Buddleja, so the butterfly brush, and that one is Buddleja Bressingham Bountiful, one of the best Buddlejas, as far as I'm concerned anyway, in recent years. Really nice one. And that come from Foggy Bottom down at Bressingham Gardens. Well, he's just to the side of Bressingham Gardens, but he's kind of part of it. So that's a really nice Buddleja to get. Flowers of geranium, Bill Wallace, looking good. Bit sparse at the moment, but it's new in. We've got the floating deck now. I've done some work on the floating deck. That said I would do. For the keen-eyed of you, you'll notice. There you go. All those lats underneath. Before, this area had a cow drinker, if you remember, in the front here. Just down this section here. Down here, there was a cow drinker, and then we had a grid behind it, which disguised the back of it, or underneath, rather, underneath that section. And I wanted to disguise it. So yesterday, I went under there and I put those lats in. Now, they're just roofing lats that I bought locally, but they were really cheap, so I went for it because I'm a bit tight Yorkshireman. So I bought those and I had to crawl under there, and that's only about 2 foot. And I was on my own, so I had no help whatsoever doing that, and it was very difficult. It took quite a while, but I persevered and got it done in the end. A mistake that I had made early on with this was throw a load of chalk stone under there. So as I was digging out for plants, I was throwing the chalk stones underneath, which really I could do with for the path at the back of the garden itself that I'm creating. So at some point I'm going to go back under and rake it all out, but I was crawling on it, so you can imagine my kneecaps didn't like it. So there was a few choice words coming out of my mouth yesterday, but it looks brilliant. Now I'm not going to do the side. This side you can see here, and where are we? There, and then the other side. I'm not going to do those because I've got nothing to actually fix it to, and I could only do one side because I need access in and out. So I've decided to leave it. The cats go under there anyway. Oh, looking up there. I'm looking up there at the Hostas that we've got in there. They look lovely. Absolutely lovely. I've got loads of Hostas, but we'll not go into those today because I've got too many to talk about. But Hostas are brilliant for pots, brilliant for the garden, and brilliant all round really. But they're quite addictive, so if you get one Hosta, you tend to have 20, 30. I have anyway. I don't know what you're like, but I've got loads of them. Too many really. I'm thinking of actually giving some away. Some of the ones that I don't really like that I've bought over time that appealed to me at the time, but don't appeal to me anymore. So I'll probably shift those on. That's the floating deck, looking good. Yeah, it's looking good in generally. I love the way the ferns look against that. The intention originally actually was that those ferns would disguise most of that gap under there, but I could see it wasn't going to work unless I put loads of them there. So I really needed something to disguise that, but it looks good. I mean, it gives it real depth. Now, I had a choice. I could have put those pieces of wood, those lats, I could have put those to the front. My job would have been a lot easier by doing that because that wouldn't have been a problem for crawling. I'd have fixed it from the front, but it wouldn't have looked interesting. So when you're designing little bits like this, you've got to think about the interest it's going to give, and the effort you put in is worth it. if you do put a little bit more effort in. It's all about the detail. I could quite easily put it to the front, as I said, but it wouldn't look as good. It'd look okay, but it wouldn't look as good. Whereas now, by putting that extra bit of effort in, it's made a massive difference to the look of that deck. So that's looking good. Now I'm going to show you some more Astrantias in a minute, but this is the one that I call Muriel's gift. So it's not available. You often hear me talking about this one, but this is not available commercially. I am going to pass it on to Bardney Manor for her to at least keep it going should all mine die in the garden, which is not likely to happen. But it's beautiful. Now I'm going to show you a better clump than that in a minute. But it's doing well, and it's Astrantia time. Now the downside to Astrantias is that they self-seed everywhere, which for you might be good, and for me is good. I simply weed or hoe away the extra seeds, and I look for the odd seed that I think might look interesting. And if you've got a good eye, you can usually spot a good seedling very early on. To the left there, we've got Brunera. And I was sat on the deck yesterday looking at it and thinking, which one is it? I can't remember. I don't put enough labels with them. I seem to think it was a seedling, and I put it there to make sure I didn't lose it, but I can't be sure. And then there's Hakanacloa, Aureola, which is really nice if you're into grasses. Get this one because it's easy to keep. It makes about 3 foot by 3 foot. It does seed around, and in this case won't seed true because it's called Aureola, so it's a varietal form. That means if you want Aureola, you need to split it, whereas a seedling could look like the parent, but you can't class it as Aureola. You probably class it as a Aureola seedling. And there's an Hosta there. And just popping through now is the Eupatorium that I moved. Now it's not the best place for this Eupatorium because it would prefer a little bit more sun, but it's okay, this one. It'll do okay. And it's got a lovely scent, this particular variety. And I seem to think that I planted a bit down here, but I can't see it, so maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. This border should be a lot further on than it is, but the weather has really not been very good. Oh, having said that, they're getting quite tall. I can see they're now starting to set the seeds, or the seed heads or seed stalks. So the stiffness that you can see is the seed stalks being set. So if we get closer to it, you'll see. Let's try and show you. Here, this one here, that's a seed stalk. Not coming across very clearly, but it's going to be fine. So that's going to send up loads of seeds this year. Now, you may have noticed I've now removed all of the alliums. Believe it or not, they're in that wheelbarrow towards the back down there. Shall we try and zoom in on it? Probably cock this up, but we'll give it a go. Oh, yeah, cocking it up. But anyway, there you go, look. And some of them are trying to live. As you can see there, the tall skinny things, I know it's a bit blurry, but you see the tall skinny ones, they're in the wheelbarrow. They've folded themselves up. So if there's anybody that lives around where I live and you want some, come and get them, they're free. There's hundreds in there, absolutely hundreds. So, they've been removed. They were causing me a problem. Last year, up to a certain point, they all did well, and then suddenly, they started dying for no apparent reason. So I thought I'd give them another chance this year, and I did that, and yet again they all started dying. I discovered that the snails were eating them. The snails absolutely love the leaves, and it was them that were actually attacking them and killing them. So I'm a bit annoyed about that because they look really good in there. So I'm going to think of something else to put in there. You know, maybe Verbena bonariensis would look okay in there, but would be the obvious choice, so maybe I won't go for that. But there would be other plants that would look good in there. And we'll have a think about that, but we've got to get some tall ones, otherwise they won't stand out. And they've got to be tall and skinny. The path's looking great. I love this path, the quarry tile path. And then the simplicity of that upturned dustbin lid with watering for the birds on that dolly tub. Just simple. And it looks really nice. Roses are starting to bud up all over the garden now. I'm not going to go into the roses either, but I just wanted you to see that they are actually budding up. So they're going to look good. And this year, finally, my echinaceas, which is the Bressingham ones, which is Bressingham hybrids, are all doing well. I've noticed that there's a little plant there on the left, and I'm sure it's that one there. I'm sure it's an echinacea, and I moved it, but the actual stalks themselves look fairly big, so I don't know which one it is. I thought it was Echinacea pallida, but it's not, because this is Echinacea pallida. Let's show you the difference. There you go, those skinny ones, these tall ones here, they're Echinacea pallida. That's how they look. Whereas the ordinary Echinaceas look like that. So it's probably an Echinacea. I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see now, aren't I? There's a couple of new plants in there, but we won't go into those either, or else I'll be forever putting names up on the screen. But you can see, new one there, Nyphophia there. And no, that's Crocosmia, and Nyphophia's there. So once they come out, we'll go more into detail on those. Let's have a look through the Polo. Love looking for it. I still haven't cleaned it. I'm just so idle. But I will, I promise, I will at some point clean it. Don't get on at me. So this is the view from here. It looks lovely, and that lattered deck now looks fantastic from here. I was going to paint those lats or give them some sort of treatment, but they're already treated with that brown, but it kind of looks all right, so I'm going to leave it alone. Just leave that alone. Yeah, so little design ideas. You've got to do it. A lot of people don't. They just want plants in the garden, and I can appreciate that. But really, if you want your garden to look more interesting, look for some simple added things to just improve the looks of the garden. Especially if you're going to open it to the public. They want to see something more interesting, and they want to look for things that they can take back to their own garden. So I'm always coming up with ideas. Quite nice. Oh, before we forget, we better turn around and show you the Crataegus. There you go. Look at that. Looking lovely. Looks great from up at the house as well. I've not cut it down yet. I said I'm going to cut the longer bits back down a little bit just to even the balance up of that. It's looking okay. Somebody said yesterday that it looked quite evenly balanced, but it's not. It's a mile out. It's just not right. After that pigeon had sat on it. But this is the flowers that we have on it. So it's just an hawthorn, and I put it next to the hawthorn hedge because I thought it would be a nice contrast. Now, I originally lifted all these branches so that they wouldn't get in my way as I walk down. And I've noticed that this one here is actually starting to cause me a problem on the path. So we're going to have to do something about that. We'll give it time, we'll see what happens. So it may lift itself up and maybe we'll be okay. I don't know, to be honest, but we'll give it time. Hedges are growing. I notice people are cutting their hedges at the minute way too early. Don't bother. Just let it grow a little bit. If you want to keep it neat and tidy, yeah, if you're a tidy freak, then do it. But I don't. I leave it alone. Right. Before we forget, because we always forget, don't we, when I've mentioned something. We'll talk about the birch first. Now, for a garden, silver birches are probably by far the best choice, in my opinion. They're shallow rooted, so you can get them next to the building. They don't require a lot of water, but having said that, in times of drought, you do need to water them a bit. Otherwise, they die away quickly. Well, they drop the leaves, really. The leaves are on it now, as you can see. And remember, I've been working on this tree since day one. Let's put the stand down so I don't have to hold it in the air and stop shaking and wobbling. So it's looking good. So that isn't by accident that that's a nice cluster of branches. That is by design. That's me going in for the last, what are we now, 5 years in the garden. So for the last 4 years since putting it in, I've been nipping out branches that I knew were going to cause a problem long term. And as you can see, we've now improved it a lot. And what do? I take out crossing branches that look a little bit dead. And then generally I'm looking for a nice shape of the tree itself, and it's wonderful. I mean, this was just a brown tree when I put it in 5 years ago. Little tiny branches. This is how they start. All birches start like this. Might as well show you now we're here. Right, so they all start like that, little branches, and this was no exception. It was multi-stemmed, and I bought it. I bought it deliberately as a multi-stemmed, and then I set to work on it. Now, if you buy these in the garden centre, or if you buy these from a tree supplier at this size, they'll cost you £500, £600 easily, if not more. But you can do it yourself quite easily. It's just time. But if you're looking to get an established tree like this straight away, then you must buy one like this. But you're just buying time. So that ring round there, the new people might be thinking, what's he got that there for? Well, that's just there to add interest, really. Just like it. Doesn't need it for the tree, but it looks good. And I've got 2 others in the garden as well. I just like them. Yeah, so let's go to this Hosta now. Now the Hosta is Empress Wu. Mentioned this on my last video. Now it's flowering. It's very early. I've noticed 1 or 2 of the Hostas are flowering, and I wouldn't expect it at this time of the year, and that is because we're getting some weird weather. We're getting lots of hot weather at this time of year, which we wouldn't normally have had to start the year. So it's caused them to flower. It's because they're under stress, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove those. I'm going to let them get a bit further, let them come out, and then I'll just cut them off. Otherwise, the Hosta will start dying back. Now, what I was going to show you was these here. These are Astrantias, my Muriel's gift again. And I'll just drop down the tripod so you get a better view of that and show you what it looks like. Look at that. It looks wonderful. It is so full of flowers. Beautiful, beautiful Astrantia. And I've been trialling them around the garden. Now, the ones that are in here, which is the cloister pergola, we'll go to the other side in a minute, but the ones that are in here are doing the best out of all the others. And that's because they're getting the conditions they want. It's a little bit damp down here, which they like. It's a bit shaded, but it gets a bit of sun as well. So part shade you could class that as. And they favour that. And then there's one further back there, you can see in the background, also doing well. So they look wonderful. So you've got to trial your plants in your garden. There's no point in loving a plant and then putting it where you think. You've got to think, where does the plant want to be? So by trialling your garden, or by trialling areas in your garden, you can work out just where you think you may want it. Oh, here he comes up. For the cat fans of you, there's Amish. He likes to make an appearance. I told Kathy to comb his fur this morning before he come out. I didn't want him looking a mess on camera. And here he is, going round his territory, checking, probably looking for Spud, the black cat that we have as well. Anyway, back to this. So, oh God, I hate this. Look, bits of grass growing in. I always pull out bits of weed as I'm going round, as you know. So where was I? Yeah, we was talking about the Astrantia and plants, where they need to be. So you've got to really, really check around your garden and see where they're best suited. And if they're not working where they are, do not be afraid to remove them. Lift them, put them somewhere where they need to be. And if you are new to it, just look in the books, look on the internet. They'll tell you where they should be. Right, I'm going to walk around into the cloister pergola now, because I want to show you the interesting planting I've got going on. But before we go in there, we'll look at this. Let's try and get this camera right. So, Achnophorum calamagrostis put itself here. It planted itself there. And I said on the last video that it was an unusual place to put itself. Just a chance that it planted there. But it had to do it, didn't it, next to another grass. So I've left them both there. But Achnophorum calamagrostis is a good upright grass. And this one is really tall. And the reason it's tall, again, it's all down to positioning, is because it's getting a little bit of shade. So it's drawing it, making it go a bit taller. It's a seedling, but a very good seedling, looking at that. But all Achnophorum calamagrostis are good plants. And when it flowers, it'll look even better. And it's next to this Rosa glauca, which is the Himalayan musk rose. Is it starting to set any buds yet? Yes, it is. There we go. So it's starting to set its buds. Let's try and hold that still so you can get a better view. There you go. So that's looking good. And they're a sort of a magenta pink, beautiful, and they're scented. And as its name suggests, musk. musky smell. So it's really nice. Now this area, the cloister pergola, I'm gonna pretty much go through this now, is a brilliant area for me. I love it. So since its conception, this cloister pergola, as I call it, is coming on lovely. Leaps and bounds it's been coming on. I started, believe it or not, with these bits of wood you're looking at now. So that bit there, that one and that one. That's all that was in this part of the garden at the time, when the garden was still new and I was trying to subdivide the garden. I didn't want you to be able to look all the way from one end to the other. It makes a very boring garden, that. So I split it using this. And it's working a treat. And I knew that the planting around it would be quite important, but sometimes when you've got what you've got, you have to just try them, see if they work. Now this euphorbia, which I call my walking stick euphorbia, it looks fantastic. Now this year I think it's going to do quite well. But what tends to happen is that when it comes into flower, it tends to flop a little bit. That's probably what I've got that for. Oh, flipping heck, there you go, look. That's probably what I've got that for. So let's move it, because I need to, I'm getting old now, so I need to remind myself where to move it, what I'm doing with things. So we'll put it there, and it may just remind me that that's for the walking stick euphorbia. And that walking stick euphorbia is one called Euphorbia Excalibur. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful from the word go. And it's looking good this year. It's not far off from when it's actually gonna flower itself. A really pretty leaf. I like the tinges of red on the edges. And then the middle, look at that, a creamy middle to it, like a veining. And it always looks good, this. But as I said, it gets to a point where it probably will flop over and it'll annoy me, because I'm be trying to cut the grass around it, and yeah. So what I tend to do is tie it back. But back to the cloister pergola, and I've just continually planted it up with different plants to see what works. Don't be afraid to keep trying different plants. It doesn't hurt to try different plants. So we've got roses all over it, climbing up, and we've got one clematis, which is, you just can't make it out, but it's there. And this is the effect I wanted. So I wanted it to look really overgrown like it is doing now. I wanted it to be thick with leaf, and then the scent of the roses would be a bonus. This one's Rosa Gertrude Jekyll, and it will flower all year now. It's got loads. They're bigger than I've ever seen them, actually, to say they hadn't had a lot of rain. Doing well. So I've clothed them with roses, different types of roses. Oh, look, this one's coming out as well. This one's a white flowered one. Beautiful. And doing well. And I tend to leave them alone once I've pruned them. I'll leave them alone. The only thing I will do is, if I'm coming in here and one of these gets in my way like this, I'll just chop it off. I won't be, I make no bones about that. I will do that if it's getting in my way. I don't care what time of the year it is. If it's in the way, it's in the way. Oh God, there's loads of buds. Loads. And big this year, so big. You know, to say we've had a dry year, I'm amazed at how well the garden is doing, because we haven't had any rain, any decent rain, and the weather's been hit and miss. It's been hot, then it's been cold. It doesn't seem to be affecting them. Anyway, right, stop waffling. Right, oh, I've just noticed that now. Oh, let's see, this is why I keep walking around. Right, let me show you so you can see. Can you see that? That's quite, look, if I let go of that, it flops back down again. So that's quite a branch that I would have been aware of. I just forget things. So what I shall do is I shall tie that up. I'm not going to lose this one because I want it to be there. So we shall tie that up, and it'll look a lot better. So it'll work its way across to that metal section there as well, that grid. And that'll look good. Which one is it? I don't know, because I've got 3 roses at the back here, so it could be any one of them. Tiny little flower there. Ridiculous, that flower. Probably be better taking that off. It's not doing so good, that one. Now I have noticed I've got a bit of black spot going on, but I'm not going to worry. Don't care about it. Don't go for the bottle. Don't go for the sprays. Just leave it alone. And you know, what will be will be. So as usual, tools out all over the place, because I was working in this area yesterday. And the reason I was working in this area was that there's a grass that was sat there called miscanthus yakushimensis, but it's actually Yakushima dwarf. And I removed it because down here we've got a lot of couch grass going through, and it's all over it. It's done it for the last 2 years, and I finally decided I had to lift it, move it. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to split it, remove all the couch grass out of it, or couch grass, however you want to say it. I'm going to remove all that and put it somewhere else. I've got several plants around the garden of that particular variety, so not too worried that it's lifted and it's out at the minute. This is a bit more of a shady area. Now let me drop the tripod again, yet again. This tripod's brilliant actually. I can drop it to my heart's content. Right, okay, so stop waffling. Right, so we've got some good choices in here. Now that miscanthus is one called Cabaret, beautiful, and seems to do well in here with a bit of shade. It's not massively shaded, but it is shaded nevertheless. Now, as the years go on, it'll get more shaded. So maybe that's a plant that may have to be moved in the end because it would prefer some sun. But variegated forms seem to do well in shade, in part shade. You don't want them in heavy shade. It's just not going to work that at all if it's heavy shade. Nothing grows as far as the grass. Well, that's not true, is it? Some grasses love heavy shade, whereas this type wouldn't like heavy shade. But it looks really good, so I'm hoping it's going to continue to look good. Now, it'll make about 4 to 5 foot. It won't flower for me, never does, this far north, whereas down south I know it flowers. If you want one that looks similar to that, go for one called Cosmopolitan. So that's Miscanthus Cosmopolitan, and that will certainly flower for you, and has a very similar look. So I've also moved this little plant called Laprocapnos, and it's Spectabilis Valentine. And it used to be called Dicentra. So Dicentra Valentine. In fact, I've got the label, so I'm going to show you the label because I'm not going to put this on screen. So there you go. There's the label. And that's been moved because, remember, it was at the back of me, which you can't see, obviously. I'll show that in a minute. It was at the back of me and it wasn't doing very well because it needed to be, well, not crowded out by a shrub, which it was being. So I've put it there, so next year that'll do better. The fern was already in this area. I've just simply moved it from there. Like I say, don't be afraid to move things. It was sat under the Astrantia. I wanted the Astrantia to do better, which it is now. I'll go back here and sit down. I like sitting down in here. So we've got some good plants. So the Astrantias are the star plants at the moment. And then we've got, I think there's a geranium at the back there. And then we've got the epimedium in front here. This one here, that's an epimedium, does well in dry shade. So if you've got a dry shade, try the epimedium. Always, always good for dry shade. And I've got a few epimediums now. I know somebody mentioned that I don't tend to show my epimediums. Well, I wasn't showing them because they were ridiculously small to start with. They take 2 or 3 years before they really start getting established. But as you can see now, that's looking really good. And it's got a lovely edge to the leaf. I'll put the name up on screen for you. Because to be honest with you, can't remember which one it was. I'll have to look up my records and see what it is. And hydrangeas, although I'm not a big blousy hydrangea fan, I love this type. This one's Hydrangea Sargentiana. And a beauty, absolute beauty. And it has a furry leaf. Now I thought it was going to die, but it's come back, so quite excited about that. We'll just leave it alone now, let it settle in. We'll give it some, I've been feeding it to be honest, give it some good feed and see how it develops. Won't be a big one at all, probably 6 or 7 foot is as much as it'll do in here, but it's the perfect place for it. It's just got to get re-established. And then at the back we have, well, the plants that Des gave me, which is an aconitum. So the monkshood, the 2 plants are monkshood, and they're just settling in. They're not going to look good for 2 or 3 years, but eventually they will make a big clump, so they'll be really nice. Then to the left here, we've got the Elianthus, which I keep saying I'm going to remove, but I quite like the quirkiness of it. Now, it's not going to do much better now, this side. It'll certainly need removing. It's called Elianthus salicifolius, and it's really nice, tall, skinny, and you really bite for the leaf, but it does produce some nice golden yellow flowers on the tips. It will make it, believe it or not, let's take you up, it'll make it as high as that, to the top of that, and that's 6.5, 7 foot. and it'll do quite well at that. Now, if you've got this plant and you've got it in too dry a location, you need to water it, and water it excessively. Just bung a couple of gallons on it every other week or something till it gets established, and then it won't flop for you. Now, it looks very spindly at the moment, but that does change very quickly as we get towards the back end of the season. It sort of has a spurt at that time and shoot up. Now, it's crawled through that wire. It's the other side now, which I'm quite happy about. I'm going to leave those ones at the other side, and I'll probably, over time, remove these ones. Now, I have removed some for sale because I do the splits from my own garden. So we'll see how that develops, but it's beautiful. Its common name is the Afghan hound plant. So if you're into your dogs, get that one. It's very nice. And there is another one I've got in the garden called Augialis, which is a bit rougher. And the colour of that Augialis is not as good as this one, if I'm honest. But let's get a close-up of these Astrantias, because this Muriel's gift is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm going to go back over the story again. Now, I got it from a lady called Muriel via a friend of mine who's into plants. And he was told by Muriel that Jill Richardson, of the famous Jill Richardson group of Astrantias, gave it to Jill and to pass on to me because she knew I liked Astrantias. And that this is probably better than the commercially available one. Now, I don't know if that's true, because the ones that are out there are pretty good, and Astrantias in general are good anyway, and I've got several varieties now. But it is a pretty good form, a strong form. I'd like to see more colouring in the leaf throughout the year, but it tends to lose that purple flush. But nevertheless, nice. Very nice. I like it. And I'm splitting it, as I said. I've got another one here. All of this one is it's literally only owned by me at the moment. Nobody else in the world will have that one, just me. That doesn't mean it's any good. Just means it's mine. So hopefully we'll get that out to the market, and we'll introduce it as a grassy bottom introduction or something, even though I've had it for several years. But what I was going to say is Muriel sadly passed away, so I named it in honour of her, to be honest. And I think it's a good one. I think it's a good year for Astrantias. So going back through the Astrantias, if you want one that's sterile, because there are sterile forms, there's one called Rheum, Astrantia Rheum, R-O-M-A. I'll put it on the screen. I'll not spell them out. And then there's one called Astrantia Buckland, and that's another sterile form. So if you get those two, you won't have any problem with seedlings. But you will have to remember to split them from time to time. Oh, that birch, it is nice. I love that birch so much, honestly, I really do. And for anyone that's visiting my garden this year, come and have a look and come and sit in this area because it's brilliant. Let's turn around. And that's the view I get. I'm sat on a seat at the minute, and that's the view I get out up to the owl border, to the wildlife dip pools to the left there. But anyway, we're in here. So the cloister pergola. Why did I call it the cloister pergola? Well, Sam from Bardney Manor gave me this. And it was from, well, it's church related, really, that. And she gave me a couple of those, that one and this one here. So at the time, I was building this whole structure, and I wanted to name it, I wanted to give it a name. And I thought, oh, cloister pergola, because it reminded me of a cloister from the cathedrals, and I love visiting cathedrals and churches. I'm a bit weird like that. So I decided to name it that, and it's grown and grown and grown, and I just love this structure. And it's probably one of my favourite places to sit. I've got several favourite places to sit, but this is a real comforting place. Now I'm showing you that because I want to show you that I've got 2-core barbed wire. For those that haven't seen it before, that's what I let my plants grow on. And let's go above us to show you. It works, look. There you go. So I just feed the roses through that, and because we've got barbs on it, I'll show you the barbs. There we go. So those are barbs, hence the barbed wire. What happens is that the plants hook themselves around. In fact, there's one there, you can see it's hooked itself around, so it saves a bit of money as well, because let's face it, garden centres and places that sell garden products tend to rip us off a little bit. They tend to overprice stuff. Whereas this is very cheap. You get 50 metres for about 20 quid. Yes, it's a bit difficult to put on, and you can get spiked, but once it's up, and it'll last your lifetime at least. But it's a good climbing structure. The roses are doing well. Let's put you up there, show you. I can't see what you're looking at there, but I will when I look back on the film. So it's looking good. It's getting a little bit tall in places, but it's quite interesting. And then the Polo. The Polo is there because I was given it by somebody who was renovating their house, the 70s house up in Yorkshire, and Kathy's friend thought I would like that, and like it I do. And as I keep saying, I haven't washed it. I've never washed it since the day I put it there, but I will wash that glass. And Kathy thinks I should paint it. I don't know whether you all agree. She thinks I should paint it. I think there'll be two thoughts on that one. One group will say, leave it alone. The other group will say, paint it. I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment. I'll leave it for now. But the idea was for the roses to completely cover around it, and they are doing now. You can see I'm having to feed them through, and eventually they will block your view. But to make it look interesting, as the roses were doing their thing, I put some wooden structures in there. And they're just simply wooden pallets split down and then recycled, really, into little panels like that. And they sit there, and they still sit with the... Let's show you. With that. Now that is reinforcing mesh that builders use in building sites, so in the ground. And I use it as a climbing thing. Now I noticed that Carol Klein uses that a lot. I haven't copied off her. I've been doing this since 2004 when I was on Gardener of the Year, and I used this very stuff to create an interesting section. So I've been using it 20 odd years. I don't know, I can't think exactly how many years, but a lot of years I've been using this. And you can use it in all different forms. Why go and buy expensive climbing structures when you can just go to the builders merchants and buy a massive 3 metre by 2 metre piece of that for what, 35, 40 quid. It's got to be a winner. And it looks good. It always looks good. It doesn't matter where you are in the garden when you look down to this. It always adds interest to the structure. This I made myself years ago. And then somebody built me the frame, which is oak. But this is traditional glass. Traditional. And that's supposed to represent a flower. And I must have made that 25 years ago. And I hang it here just for interest again. Part of the garden. And it looks good. Other plants in here, what have we got? Let's go through them while we're here. Now, as I said about plants, sometimes plants can get in your way. And then this one, which is the Lamium ovala, that I see is getting a lot of press just lately. People are liking it, thank goodness, and the garden centres are supplying it. I've been into this for years. They're catching me up. They must be watching my videos. Anyway, so yeah, it has this lovely, lovely flower, almost orchid-like in it, that. It's a fact. And it's good, strong and upright, and it seeds itself around, which I absolutely love. In fact, there's way too many seeds now, look. I've got to remove all these. I've taken some out, actually. They're all in pots, but these can go. There's too many now. So they're looking good. So what I had to do was I had to remove them. I'm moving around a bit, aren't I? You'll all be moaning. Right, so I had to remove it from that fern because it was covering that fern. Now, what is that fern? I'm not going to be able to name that fern. I know it will have a name here somewhere. Some fern expert will probably tell me which that one is. I think it's a male scale fern or something like that. Don't know its exact name, but it looks wonderful in there. And again, it takes the conditions deliberately. Put it there because I wanted something to go into the dark section of the pergola, which I knew it was going to become over time. So we had to bear that in mind straight away. And then Brunera, we think, or I think, that Brunera is sea art. I'm not 100% convinced, but I think it is. Whereas the one here is a seedling. That is definitely a seedling. I remember that one developing there. And there are other seedlings that I keep finding from time to time. And I keep them. I pot them up and I sell them on or give them to friends. It depends whether I like the friend, whether I give them it or not. Or whether I charge them. So if I charge you, if you're my friend and I've charged you for one of them, probably not so keen on you. No, I'm only joking. But anyway, so this is nice. This is Spirea hayatana, a new one to me last year. And I noticed that Krug farm plants, as you'll know, it's actually pronounced Krug farm plants. I believe that they've brought this back into the country. I'm not 100% sure, but I noticed on a a little posting that they had it, and it looked like they'd introduced it. And it's beautiful, and it is available. You can get it in garden centres, but it's a beauty. Look at that little flower. It's fantastic. Little thing. I don't know how big it's going to get. I suspect about 2.5, maybe 3 foot. Now, that's where that dicentra was taken from. Remember that we showed you? There's the hole. Left the hole. Got to fill that back in somehow. So it looks good. And then behind it, we've got a fern. And that one's called Dre's Dagger. Love the name. Dre's Dagger. What a name. Who came up with that? Gets bigger than that. It's still fairly small at the moment. Quite established now, but it takes time for it to get to its full size through the season. And it's a wonderful one. And then behind it there, we've got another one, another Rheum, and this one's called Ghost. And I just love the colour. I absolutely love this one. Beautiful. Now, I don't know if they're still on the go, but there's a couple of lads called Fernatics. And I bought that from them down at a previous Gardeners World. Oh, it must be 15 years ago, easily. And I bought that from them and Dre's Dagger. But the original Dre's Dagger that I bought from them died on me. So I had to go and find this one again. And I can't remember where I got that. And we've got what they call tripartum hostas. This one's called Hands Up. Really weird shape. Now, I did that plant sale last week. And I had one of these and it was nearly... Well, we only had a 2-hour sale. It was quite a quick and vicious sale. But we did quite well at it. I'm not telling you how much I made in 2 hours, but I did quite well. Anyway, I put one of these there and I thought, God, somebody who's a specialist will definitely find this. Nobody found it till almost the end when some woman says, oh, I like that Hosta. It looks really interesting. So I explained a little bit about it and she bought it. I said, you're the lucky one. You're the one that's won the Golden Globe. You've won it. You found that. And what I do when I do sell plants, I often put in a little plant that is unusual, weird, to see if we've got a real plants people there that will spot it. And often they don't spot them. Oh God, there's some of this, what do they call it, sticky dick or something like that. I don't know, I probably just made that name up. This one here, oh, I hate it. I hate that weed. We all get that. Can't do out about it, but I hate it. So we've got a hosta here. Now I know that this is Big Daddy because I moved it from somewhere else. Now, for one that's called Big Daddy, it's not massive, and I don't believe they are now. I always used to think they're huge. Now, it's got 1 or 2 little holes in there. That isn't slug damage either, that. I don't know what that is. Slugs don't usually chew them like that. They usually chew them from the edge. But it could be. It could be slug damage. But we're not worried about it. Now, these chairs, I bought at the garden centre I used to run. And somebody was selling them second hand. They were selling loads of them. So we picked them all up for about 3 or 4 quid each. And I bought the whole lot. I think I bought about 20 at the time. I've since given a couple away. Well, maybe more than a couple. And I'm sure Kathy's given a few away without telling me. But we keep them in the shed so that when we open the garden, we can pop them all out. And they're nice to sit on, but I never wash them. They need washing. Before I open the garden, I must wash those because people won't sit on those. Even though it's dry, they won't sit on them. Can be very fickle people, but the Kousa Bergola, yeah, I just love it. I absolutely love it. And everything's coming into its own now. The planting, everything. And it's all trial and error. Yesterday I came in and as I said, I took out the grass. I needed to do that. And it wasn't really appropriate for here. So again, when you build something and you put the plants in, you may get it wrong. I get it wrong. You may get it wrong and you need to move them, but you need to be brave and move them, actually move them, not talk about it, but do it. So that's just what I did. And now I'm reaping the rewards of my hard work over the years. It's starting to pay off. Now we've put this one in here. Now let me show you the label so I don't have to explain what it's called because I don't want to do that. Now I could have made a mistake with this one because I read in book. I'm just picking out some bits of weed. I hate to see weeds in it. Horrible. It was kept in a pot for a long time because it is an aggressive runner. Now I'm told it's okay to plant in the garden because it won't run. I don't believe that. But we'll see because I've now been brave enough to put it in. Sorry, I'm waffling while I'm just weeding it. I can't not weed. It's doing me head in. Right, so here we go. So this is what it is. Plioblastus, Oreocorm. Is that, hang on. There we go. Again, Blyblastus oreocomus. And it has the AGM on it. And it says hardy evergreen spreading dwarf bamboo. Now, if you read some books, they tell you it won't spread. It will. It will spread. In fact, I'll be surprised if I don't find it in this grass by the time it's finished. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful plant. And if you can control it, get it. Beautiful. If you're a bit worried that it will spread, then just put it in a pot, because it does equally as well in a pot. But the colour is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's like a dwarf bamboo, basically. But I've been brave enough to put it there. Now there's a weed here. I spotted this weed here yesterday, and I meant to take it out. I've not got to it yet, so I'm going to leave it a bit longer, see what flower it produces, because sometimes wildflowers produce interesting flowers. So we'll leave it alone. Now we're going to come back on it so we can show you a better view of this. I just love looking down at this. It's so interesting. And the way it's grown as well, the way that the cloister pergola has sort of like doubled in size, not sort of, it has doubled in size. Looks fantastic. There it is in its entirety. So we're planting around it. Different plants we've got. We've got a Cornus here, supposed to be China Girl. Probably is, I don't know. I bought it as China Girl, and then I was doubting myself for many years. But actually, that's looking beautiful this year. So it's Cornus Kousa, China Girl. So not your typical dogwoods, a bit different to those. And it will become a small tree, and I look forward to that. I'm going to make it actually grow, let's tell you. So I've planted it there so that it grows up to the top, and then it will create me like a little, let's show you with my finger. I want to prune it so it does that. So you're forced to go under, not under, but walk through that shrub. But it's a beautiful shrub. And I often moan every year about this one, saying, oh, I think I've got it in the wrong place. It's not doing so well. And I always forget, you've got to give this plant time. This is one of them shrubs that need time to settle in. They can sulk for an absolute age, like some girlfriends I used to date way back. They would sulk. It's because I'm a mad plantsman. But anyway, so it's a beauty, and you really ought to look one of these out. China Girl being the most famous. There are other ones that are just as good as this, but it's this flower. It's actually a bract. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And those little bits in the middle, they're the actual flower. That little bit there, that's the actual flower, and that becomes red. In fact, you can see on some back there, they're going red already. Now, when it's a young plant, they tend to drop everything. They tend to drop all those flowers. They don't sit around. It's a bit more of an established plant where you'll find the better flowers. And over time, that's what will happen here. And it is growing well now. I have been feeding it, and I have been reminding myself that it can take a while to get going. I've got to remember that I put that in as a 2-litre plant. So it would have only been about a foot tall when I put it in. It's now 4 foot. So it's doing all right. Just a bit slow. Just got to get used to that. But the lamium sets it off beautifully. I've put a geranium next to it. Don't know which one that is. I just pull them up around the garden when I find them, and I just dump them in here. Oh, well, we're here. Look, let's show you right. Another Astrantia. The Muriel's gift one. You can see nowhere near as big. Should be. They were all taken at the same time, the splits. When I split the original plant, they were all done at the same time, but that's very small, and that's because it's not in the right location. This gets a lot more sun. So the cloister pergola is brilliant. Love it. I didn't mean to go on about the cloister pergola, but you know, sometimes it's good to focus in on something, and I'm really proud of that. So I like to show it off when I can. And then we've got planting around it. This is the long border, and it's the south side of the long border. You see the little dovecote through there. Looks beautiful, and the floating deck. And then Geums. I love Geums. I'm starting to get into Geums, actually. The long flowering, that's what I like about it. This one's sterile. This one's totally tangerine. So it is sterile. And that's one reason they flower for quite a long time. But actually, if you keep clipping back your Geums, they will flower all summer, without a doubt. Give them a go. And then the Ligusticium. Remember, I said this is monocarpic, dies when it's finished. And I said, I think there must have been 2 plants in, because the original plant, or the bigger plant, died last year. But then this one shot up from the base. So I can only assume there was either 2 in there, or it just decided it wanted to grow again. But it's flowering really early. This is way too early. And that's probably as a result that it shouldn't be there. It should have died. Oh, I've got another weed here, so I'll pull that out while I'm at it. Have a good pull out. And it's like, oh look, there's Spud, look, on the deck. There you go, little Spud. He's been out eating mice, I can guarantee that. So, we're going to end it now, because we've been going on a bit. But basically, the pergola, the cloister pergola is still in development. I still like to develop it. I'm still planting around it. I'm still testing it, testing out plants around it, which is what you should do. But the depth you get when you stand back in a place like this, which you never make out on the camera, it never looks as good. It looks acceptable, but never as good as what I'm viewing. So I'm always experimenting. There's a Symphotrichum here, a white form. I can't remember the name of it. If I remember it, I'll put it up on screen. And this here is, let's have a look, it's a Lichness, and it's one called Rosea. Lichness Rosea. Now, I'm not familiar with this. I got this from a friend of mine, a gardening friend who's moved away. And last year it was ridiculous. I nearly took it out, but I stuck with it, and it's looking all right now, so it's going to look interesting. Now, the name suggests it's going to be rosy coloured flowers, but we'll wait and we'll see. So it's all looking good, still experimenting. I see there's a digitalis here or a foxglove. I tend to let them seed around. They put themselves just where they should, and they always look interesting, and June is the time for the foxglove, so they're going to look brilliant very shortly. Yeah, so looking good. Very excited. I get so excited over this area because it's just looking so good. There was a time when I almost gave up with planting this section because nothing was doing what I wanted it to do. But I think I was trying to plant before things were establishing, like the roses. I needed the shading to make me decide which plants needed to go in, not what plants I wanted to go in. A lot of us are swayed by pretty flowers. Well, you lot are. I'm not swayed by pretty flowers, but we're swayed by what we like at the time, and we just dunk them in, and often they don't work. So you really need to right plant, right places. Beth Chatto said it's definitely right. Stick with that. I always say give it a try somewhere else if you wish, but it'll probably never do as good. But, you know, live and let live. So we'll just end it now because we've been going on a bit, and I just want to show you this one. This is a Calamagrostis avalanche, really nice, upright, variegated grass, beautiful. It's not flowering yet. I'll show you more about that when it flowers. But we need to show you this to end the video on. The Rheum palmatum tanguticum. I go on about this one all the time. Look at that. It just looks stunning. Absolutely stunning. The biggest it's ever been. It's now 5 years in, doing well. Gets a lot of the water from the dip pools when they overflow, which they're not doing at the moment because we've had no rain. But I have supplemented it with watering. I don't like to do that because the water I put in there from the tap is rubbish. But nevertheless, it is doing well. And then the boardwalk border there. We'll go more into detail on that one because that is always was an experimental border for me, but it's doing well now. I'm seeing what's doing well. There's lots of stuff doing really well in there. We'll go through that on the next video maybe, if I remember, because you know what I'm like. Can't remember anything. Can't remember what time of day it is. So, yeah, look at that flower. Beautiful. Now I shall remove those flowers pretty soon because once them flowers start going over into a brown phase, the plant dies back. And I don't like to see that. I like to get it going again. So what I do is I remove the flowers and some fresh growth will start. So, let's end it up here. Let's end it off this step here. There you go. So, a bit more about the cloister pergola. I didn't mean to go into that. I wanted to really show you the area that I did yesterday, which was under the floating deck. Okay, right, hope you've enjoyed that. Any questions, fire away. Any comments, any observations, fire away. Don't be surprised if I don't give you the answer you want. I can be like that. But hopefully you've learnt a little bit off this video. I'll touch you on the next one. Ta-da!